Then I will call the meeting to order then. The only thing on the agenda, besides, of course, old and new business, is a one reserve fund transfer in the amount of $8,250 for the personnel classification plan account. And as you may remember, we had allocated at town meeting $20,000 for this, but the bids came in over. So if you would like to explain a little, Jeff, though I think you did give us
Yes, thank you, Madam
the
Chair.
RFP, or,
As part of the town meeting process, $20,000 was allocated to a compensation and classification study. We did solicit bids from 5 entities that were listed on the MMA website, Massachusetts Municipal Association website of doing those, that do those types of studies. 2 responses were received. The Personnel Committee, whose study this will be, reviewed those proposals and is recommending GovHR for a total cost of $28,250. So I'm here to ask for the $8,250 to complete the study. The other bid received was less, $26,823.40, but comparing the two, GovHR has much more experience recently in doing these types of studies, and we would recommend GovHR to do the work.
questions?
So you send the information beforehand, it answered all my questions.
Actually, I thought I had sent it days ago, and then I realized I had not. But again, I did it in the morning, so. No question? Well, you're on the Personnel Committee. Yes.
Yeah, well, I have to say, who they listed as their references seemed, a pretty good selection of towns. So they seem to have good experience doing this, so.
And they had quite a few in Massachusetts, too, so.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's good so they understand Massachusetts system, I suppose. Oh, well,
Pretty comprehensive scope.
yeah, it seems.
They outlined it pretty.
I think one of the things that drove the price up a little bit is when you talk to, this group was looking for a study to do a certain type of thing. You talk to another group that has a vested interest in the outcome, and they were looking for a study onto a different type of thing. So it meant different things to different people, and trying to incorporate all those elements into the study, I think, kind of drove the price. Because, there were concerns about the department heads' salaries and how those are stratified. There's concerns about how the administrative employees are stratified and how we're classifying them. Our compensation levels as compared to other communities. And the classification process itself is antiquated, and there was a desire for an upgrade or a new model for us to classify employees. So you bake all that into this process, and it just kind of inflated the price for the product we were looking for.
So I think you ended up in a spot where you have a comprehensive plan that should cover all the questions and
it
things that
should.
come out, including implementation and recommendations.
Yes.
I'm just assuming or hoping that part of the, you do the classification, your rank positions in there, then you go out and do a compensation plan. That, you compare it to other towns. Part of that has to be, let's take the town administrator. You can call up the 8 other towns that we say are proxy towns and say, what's your salary range A to B? And you got a bunch of numbers, but they also have to look at what are the roles and responsibilities, because some of those positions may have more or less responsibilities that may drive the salary structure relative to someone else.
That's very true.
You also have to look at tax base differences too, because some towns have a lot of industrial, and a lot of other towns are a lot of residential, and there's no commercial. All that factors in too, and how the town.
It goes back to how we pick the proxy communities.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, ability to pay. I think that's what I would call it, ability to pay as compared to other communities.
Right, because that's how that all factored into what the 10 comparison towns were.
Right.
But
Well, you also have
granted,
to, and then you blend that with, is it the same, just what you said, is it the same job?
To me, that was key. The thing is, the initial thrust is to define the job regardless of the person. It's not about the person, it's about the job.
about the
The job description and the scope of responsibility.
Right.
And the different factors like experience or education or whatever that get layered into that job as important aspects of that position.
Right.
So it should be anonymous, actually, in terms of who's in it,
Because we're paying the job, not the person.
not the person.
I think that's a familiar refrain.
What's that?
It's not the person, it's the responsibility. I think that's been said for years and years and years.
And when would they be able to start?
They can start within the next couple weeks. This would go, if this was approved this evening for the extra funding, it would go to the Board of Selectmen on
To approve?
Monday. I did see the consultant who submitted the proposal at ICMA in Nashville last week, and I told her that this is the process we're going through. I needed more money. She goes, just let me know, and we can get started. She is in Massachusetts quite frequently, as you can see from the references and the work in progress. So we can start pretty directly. The first formal start to it will be meeting with the Personnel Committee to make sure everybody understands the scope and the desired product. Because at the end of the day, the Personnel Committee has to be able to have a methodology to classify positions, whether they're created new or there's modifications, to reclassify them appropriately and have a system in place that they have confidence in, which isn't kind of the case today.
So this may roll out for budget season. You think you'll have results that you may roll out into next year's budget
I
planning
hope so.
process?
I hope so. We may have enough indicators to kind of put money somewhere in the budget to address it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for any
But-
changes that may come of it.
We'll see how far we get.
Didn't they say they would do it in like 12 weeks or something?
Yeah, it'd be a short period of time.
Yeah, it said, I think around
Yeah.
4 months,
It was a-
3 to 4
It was
months.
a fairly.
Yeah, it was. It did say it in there.
Yeah, and they've got tremendous data on Massachusetts already. So,
So if you want, I'll make a motion.
Well, can I just make a comment? I wasn't, I have to, right? So, I didn't vote for the warrant article, right, to pass. And the reason I did not, as a personnel committee, because I didn't think that they thought it through. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm just saying that, $20,000 just to get it onto the warrant, I believe that's basically how it happened. Not a lot of thought went into the cost, which is why, and on the Personnel Committee, we hadn't addressed anything before this was put on the warrant, right? So the Personnel Committee was like, well, okay, $20,000 to do the study, but nobody knows what the study's going to be. So anyway, that said, I didn't vote for it on the warrant article. I'm happy that we have someone, but I also have an issue with coming from the reserve fund transfer, because it kind of really wasn't unforeseen. We had no idea what we were going to get. A comment made, if I may, in a previous RFP for something else, something unrelated, there was a, what do you call it, like a top amount that you couldn't go over, so the
not to
RFP.
exceed.
Thank you. I don't know if that was proposed, but looking back in hindsight, I wonder if we couldn't have done that and if we would have gotten different responses within the $20,000, right? Had we put the stipulation in there that, oh, by the way, you can't go above $20,000, what can you offer us for this amount of money? Do you get me?
Yes, I understand the concept,
So,
yes.
yeah, the concept. So it sounds like we didn't do that, and here we are asking for an additional $8,000. Again, Personnel Committee, I voted for this because we had a good discussion about, everything, and all the boxes were ticked from this company as to what we did expect and plan to get out of the study. So I did vote for it to pass at Personnel Committee, but I'm probably going to abstain because I don't think I can vote twice. But I wouldn't, I just don't think it's a use of funds.
So I wrestled with that question today when I was looking at this. This is, because we typically say, is this the unforeseen expense? No, we knew we were going to incur an expense for this study. The the expense is higher than expected. But, so the event of doing the study is not unforeseen. The expense is a little beyond what was foreseen at the time. This was budgeted. And this action is not inconsistent with town meeting. Town meeting did vote to approve and fund this study. So I'm okay with doing this. It's not unlike, we budgeted so much money for gasoline. Gasoline prices rise, and, we have to go out and pay more money and put more money in the budget to keep the tanks full of the fire trucks and the police cruisers and everything else. We knew we were going to buy gasoline, you need a little bit more money to move it over. So if town meeting hadn't voted, had turned this article down or put some other restrictions on it, then there'd be, I think, a different discussion on whether we can move forward or not.
Well, I think the way the warrant article was written, that it can't exceed $20,000.
I don't know where
Okay, I know,
I
you
don't
weren't
know.
here, I understand.
Bring that with me.
Not picking on
I didn't
you.
bring- No,
Oh, the
I don't.
looks like the warrant article, that's what. Thought you were looking up the warrant articles.
No.
I'm looking at the proposal.
I think he's looking at the RFP,
you want me to,
or the,
do we have it?
It's downstairs, I see the
Is it
purple
that
books.
purple book?
yes, it's
I have it
purple.
right here if you want it. I'll have
You
it.
can probably bring it up.
I can bring it up.
Lilac, whatever color it was.
It's purple. Lilac, I don't know.
Excuse me. I was looking at it, as a matter of fact, I looked at the article the other day.
I don't recall the article exact wording.
Any idea what number it was?
No, but we do,
Index.
we do have an index, We worked very hard to put that in order.
Attached is the final book.
Exactly. Which is why I didn't vote for it.
Okay, warrant 25, Article 25.
Personnel classification plan, page 30. Page 30.
To see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $20,000 to perform a personnel classification plan study for non-union employees of the town, or take any action.
So it didn't say
In
not to
relative
exceed,
thereto.
just 20.
Oh, it transferred a specific amount of money. It didn't say an amount of money not to exceed 20,000, right? And at the time, they didn't have the full scope. They thought that they could get the study done for 20.
I think that was Jody's question, and I think it was just, that verbiage was not in there.
Right. Are you going to make a motion? on that?
I'll make a motion that the Finance Committee approve the transfer from the reserve fund to the personnel classification plan account, the amount of $8,250 for the purpose of supporting the classification and compensation study.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining?
Thank
So
you.
it's
Thank you
701.
very much.
Okay.
Did you want to sign a real one and leave it behind?
I will. I assume the next thing on the agenda must be old business, since I forgot to put that. Any old business? New business?
No, other than the
We
free
have-
cash position looks
We
great.
do have a nice free cash position, and for those who might be actually listening, of about $4.9 million. So it is a good position to be in.
Does that mean we get a raise?
I just have a curiosity question. I know you're kind of new to Massachusetts, but officially, this used to be called the unallocated fund balance.
It is
Free
everywhere
cash-
else.
It is.
Every other state, maybe, at least the other 4 states I've worked in. But I think there's things, I don't think it's the exact same number. I think free cash has different elements to it than what you would call, from a GAAP perspective, unencumbered fund balance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's risen.
I'd have to ask the auditors how those two,
Change.
they're probably close, but there may be some elements to it. Yeah, it's like, I was talking to my finance director in Connecticut, I said, we call fund balance free cash. Gosh, it's never free.
Free, no.
I know, it's sort of an odd name, free cash.
It's unique, but, you know, betterments are a different title too for what they would call it somewhere else. Be special assessment somewhere else. So Massachusetts is unique, but
We like to be
See-
unique, though.
See, special assessment feels like we're charging it, whereas a betterment is we're improving things for you
Yes.
at your expense.
it's a much more
At your expense.
eloquent title,
Yes.
yes.
Any other new business?
I just have a question on this. So I didn't see this, or at least I don't think I looked at it last year. The
Oh.
amounts in bold,
Excuse me. Thank you.
is that what was unexpended?
That's what lapsed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what came back from
yeah, that's,
those departments.
Which
that's
went
what
to the
came
free
back.
cash.
Yeah,
Didn't
Yes.
get spent.
that's what went into, or makes up in part.
Well, yeah, it's-
Not in
it-
total,
it-
because there's other,
other things.
I mean, we still had some free cash from last year
So
that was
we
unexpended.
went through all the budgets, people had all their reasons for why they needed that money, and this is the money that didn't get spent in those budgets.
Right,
From last year?
Yep.
Yes,
yeah. Let's turn back, otherwise.
let's turn
otherwise-
back in,
This is good, this is good.
yeah. But we also had unexpended free cash from last year, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of it.
So it happens every year.
That
It's
happens
not
every year.
unexpected.
We don't expend
That's
it
kind
all.
of the formula, free cash from last year minus what you took out of it, plus revenues you didn't anticipate and expenses you
Yes.
didn't expect,
Yes,
right? You mash it all together, you get a free tax.
and you get the free cash
number,
for
yeah.
this year, yes.
And if your revenues were shorter than you planned, that'd be a negative draw against that number in the end.
Could you explain the meaning of the negative balance on the third page? 3 million in the supplies?
Well, no, that's the school, right? They get a big, one number budget, that's how much they spend, and then they turn back that.
I see,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You just get they get one number budget.
All right, I understand.
Yeah, so that's just what they spent, yeah.
You can't
Well,
figure
to me,
out the
it looks
details
like
in that.
they put the full budget in 53,000, and when they went to expend the money, they
I see that.
classified some of those expenses in $54,000, so one was a little bit short.
Well, one's a revenue, right?
Right.
The one's expenses.
Or they-
That's the way I-
Or they encumbered a certain amount of funds. for other purposes.
I'm sure they have,
Yeah, they may have.
E&D and so on and so forth.
Anyway, just one other quick new business, in case nobody has seen this, because you've all gotten phone calls and been on social media, Trick or Treat tomorrow is canceled until Saturday because of the weather.
Saturday, yeah.
In case there's anyone out there listening who has not heard that.
Which, it's almost a direct split between people that are really upset about that and really
Yes,
happy
I've seen
about
that.
it. The people with kids are good with it because, you know, and the people.
Well, I myself, who does not have a lot of self-control in our family on candy, I have to go out and buy more candy now, I think. But, you know, I was just saying.
Did you already buy your candy?
Of course, and we've already eaten some of it, and now there's 2 more days to eat it.
Buy ice cream until you get.
But it's Saturday, though, isn't it?
It's Saturday, yes.
Yeah,
We
We
haven't,
would, I would imagine there'll be people out tomorrow too because
yeah.
it's Halloween.
hey, this is on TV now, here, so, we just announced it, so, anyway. Any other new business? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
All in favor? Oh, thanks for coming out on this
Thank
rainy
you all.
night. So, we adjourned at 7.